Hey guys, this is Daniela Ravani. I'm the host of the Mom Curious podcast. I am joined today by my beautiful friend, an inspiring musician, an activist. Yes?
Sure.
Would we call you that? Yeah. Her name is Joanie Leeds. She's a Grammy Award winning singer-songwriter in the kids music genre. Although so call me a kid because I'm like a big fan of your work just in general.
Thank you.
I usually ask our guest, who are you today, given all of that?
Today, well, I taught this morning, so I am a teacher. And then I will go home in a little while and I'll be a mom.
Yeah.
I guess I'm always a mom.
Yeah, I can't really shake that off.
No. And I will be doing a bunch of social media and marketing and emailing people. So I'm like an administrative assistant / social media person.
The glamorous life of a rock star, you mean?
All of the things. Nobody, you only see the good stuff on social media, but you don't know how hard we're working on our laptops.
Well, because you have a new album out, is that right?
I do have a new album out. It just came out and it's called FREADOM, FREADOM, with the word read in there. It's all about not censoring and banning books. It's about the freedom to read.
From the moment she picked up a book in her hands, she couldn't yet read, but she flipped all the pages. She traveled through pictures to far away lands and learned about people with all kinds of faces.
It's so funny because like we think of a Grammy winner as like, I make music and it just like floats out into the ether, and knowing you, I realize, wow, like, okay, not just is the making of it like a real labor of love, but the sharing it is a lot. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of the work.
It is. And the algorithms are not so kind anymore. I mean, it used to be so different where you would just like put it out and like all of your friends would see it. And now it's like advertisements and corporations, and they pay money to be in front, and so sometimes we get a little bit left behind, these independent artists. And you know what it's like.
I do.
So you have to try to have these crazy TikToks, and you have to do the Instagram reels, and I mean it's exhausting.
It's you've become like a business owner in a way.
You are a business owner. And you have a brand, and you have to like stay on brand, and it's a lot to think about. And it's sometimes there's a hit, sometimes there's a miss. You just have to keep swinging.
The thing about it is that these songs are hits. Like they're really good.
Thank you.
I think you guys heard a little bit of Joanie's song Band.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So Band is the first song on my new album, FREADOM. Right now, I'm sure you've heard in the news, like if you watch the news or read a newspaper or even scroll on the Facebook, you'll see that right now banned books, BANNED, banned books is a major issue in our country, specifically in my home state where I grew up, Miami, Florida. Florida is like ground zero for banning books with Governor DeSantis. And, in Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, like there's a lot of states where there's people that are trying to silence and censor voices. And so they're doing this by taking books away from children, specifically even picture books, which is what I wrote about for the album, and restrict access to these books simply by taking them out of the classroom, creating laws where it's very murky, where it says that if there's anything offensive in the book, I mean, there's a political group, it's a hate group essentially called Moms for Liberty, and they are very, very active because they have a lot of finances behind them from the far right. And so they are literally writing a letter saying that this book is offensive, and then it's being restricted for all kids, not just their kids. Like they're taking away from all, and in the libraries and in the schools. So it's very problematic. So a long-winded answer to say that I wanted to do something about it. So musically, I created this album FREADOM, which is where Band is the opening anthem to the album, and then each song that follows, each of the 7 songs, is inspired by a children's picture book that has been banned.
Wow. Do you feel like you have a sort of moral obligation as a kid musician? I mean, or is it just, or is the moral obligation outside of that? You know,
I think as a politically active mom, I feel personally morally obligated to speak out when I see injustice. I also feel like my music when I started off was not like this. It was like clap your hands and stomp your feet. It was
also hits. By the way, and the music itself, I just want to say out loud, like the music itself is so good.
Thank you.
It's so good.
Well, I started doing this when I was in my 20s, and I am not in my 20s anymore. But I think there's been a process where like I first started writing these like do it songs, like clap your hands, stomp your feet type songs. And then I started writing story-based songs. And then I'm realizing as the kids get older and the parents are getting older, it's like my audiences are growing with me.
They are.
And
they're
I'm
sticking around.
Yeah, and I'm on album number 11. So the album that won the Grammy, for example, that was a female empowerment and gender equality album for families. So like my audience that were 2 and 3, now they're, you know, preteens, and that album, you know, it resonates with them. Yeah. So this album, it's very similar, where the kids that were listening to All the Ladies back in 2020, now they're ready for a revolution, you know?
Wow.
So,
I mean, interestingly, like I know that your genre is kids music, but I find it really fun to listen to. Is there country, like, do you have country undertones? Like, is that what's the like musical genre outside of the audience?
So I love all music, and I don't just put myself in one box. I try to do all different types of genres. Yeah. So, I mean, for example, my last album before FREADOM was a hip hop album called Oy Vey, Another Christmas Album, which was... I love it. So, yeah. And so I don't like to only do one thing. I think if you were to say, what is the type of music that you do the most, it would probably be like folk Americana.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I also... That
might be what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
That sort of sounds... It's adjacent to country, I think.
Well, yeah, and those are the artists that I love to listen to. Like, I love the Indigo Girls and Brandi Carlile. I mean, Carlile. Yes, obsessed. So, like, those are the artists that I love to listen to, and I feel like not that we sound alike in any way, but there are undertones of those artists.
I think you sound alike.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
it's steeped in there.
Yeah. How'd you get into kids music? How'd you get into music in general?
So I was actually a musical theater major, and I went to college with a guitar because I was a song leader in my Jewish youth group.
Love it.
As one does. And so, you know, I went to school, I was playing Indigo Girls and Fiona Apple and like all my favorites. And then when I was in school for musical theater, I realized I'm a terrible dancer.
Oh, ditto.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in a musical this fall, and I'm like, please don't ask me.
I'm so excited to see it,
yeah,
by the way.
it's going to be great. But are they going to ask me to dance? We're going to have a chat.
Yeah.
I can move.
I can move.
Yeah.
I can't do like you know, I can't do any of the dances. The routines.
I know.
Forget it.
I've done it. This summer hard. I was in a musical, and I was like, that's where I like spend all of my time is like reviewing the dances. I'm like, I don't know if I'm even singing on key because I'm concentrating so hard on the dances. But go on.
Well, it was embarrassing.
Okay.
Put it that way.
Okay.
And so I knew that this was probably not going to be in the cards for me, because when you do a Cattle Call audition, you are dancing first.
Oh yeah, that's like if you want to be in the chorus, which is usually how people start.
Right.
They're the big calls, the ground floor is dancing. Yeah.
So if you can't dance, you're screwed right away. Like they won't even hear you sing. So I started writing music in college, and I put out my first terrible album, which I can't even listen to. It's so cringeworthy.
I was listening to the the Spotify Joanie Leeds channel, and it's in there.
Oh my God.
I think it's pretty good.
I've been trying to get it off of there forever. Don't listen, everybody. Do not. But anyway, it was in college. I had like a lot of like pent up anger from like a 20-year-old, you know, like that is not where I am. It's just, I don't know. I feel like Taylor Swift must listen back to her catalog from when she was a teenager and cringe, but like it's still really good to all of us. So
Yes.
maybe it's like that for, I don't know.
It is really good, and it's also kind of great. I love, I mean, obviously this is what I do for a living, which is like investigate people and their journeys, and like I love the hero's journey. I love the artist journey. I love, you know, knowing that there are seasons of your life, and that was a season, and I got to.
Oh, it was a rough season,
Yeah.
I tell you. But you know, I got past that. I put out the first album, and then I came to the city, and I was working at the bitter end. I was playing there. I was bartending there. I was answering the telephones at night and during the day. And, you know, I basically like lived there. And being in a music club, it was this vast education where I learned all about singing and playing in a band. And I had never really done that before. So I changed focus and I went into the world of singer-songwriter land.
Wow.
And I loved it. And I felt like it was really empowering because when you're an actor or you're in a musical, you're in a company and you are basically
At the whim
of the director and the casting person, and you need to wait in order to be accepted and then put on stage. When you're a singer-songwriter, you create that space for yourself. And I liked that. And, you know, and nobody could tell me no. I don't like being told no. so I started,
especially when you have a voice, you know, you have something to say.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
at the time it was mostly about like breakups, but
That's
I
okay.
still had things to say about it.
Yeah, totally.
Lots of angst. So, and then I started, so I was doing the singer-songwriter thing and it had a million different jobs. When I tell you a million, I was a real estate agent for a little
That's
while.
impressive.
Yeah, I worked at Epic Records in the publicity department, answering phones to some of my heroes, by the way. I was at Miramax Films with Harvey Weinstein and Bob Weinstein for a while.
I mean, who wasn't an intern at Miramax Films
Right?
at some point? Yeah.
Right?
I don't know how or when, but it was like a week of my life. I think I was working at the Tribeca Film Festival, and somehow I was everyone.
They were very intertwined.
A lot of people worked for Harvey Weinstein at some point, but nothing scandalous, nothing to report
other than
that front.
Him throwing a stapler at one point. He was
Just
a
the one
maniac.
stapler.
I mean,
no big deal.
I mean, that was just a Tuesday, you know?
mean, really. Yeah.
No, I didn't see anything crazy with my own eyes, but I knew like it was just not a fun working environment.
Maybe that's why so many people work there, because like the turnover was so high.
It's probably true.
Yeah.
So that's where I was. I was doing all of these different jobs. There's like 5 more that I didn't even mention.
I'm sure. I
and
know.
then trying to figure out how to be a singer-songwriter. And then I was really like exhausted because you would work all day and then gig at night. And then someone was like, why don't you do something where you are singing during the day? And that can be your job. I'm like, there is no job like that. But there was, and that was at Gymboree Playing Music where I could sing for babies.
Oh,
so I started singing for babies and I was using their lesson plans. Like it was their music. It wasn't my music. It was theirs. So after a couple of years, and I actually managed the Upper West Side Center for a little while, which was a hoot. And then I left. I started doing birthday parties, and then I was playing my own children's music, and the kids would inspire me, and I would write songs for the kids. And then, you know, sometimes a parent would be like, I have to get my kids' coat on, and they refuse to put their coat on. Will you write a song about, you know, getting dressed for the winter? And then I would like come back the next day and have like a getting dressed for the winter song.
How does it go?
It's so cold out, I think the snow is falling. But if we go out, that's something I can't remember. We'll be falling. Put on your sweater. And then I have them put on their sweater. Put on your coat. Put on your mittens and scarf and hat. Let's go. Let's go. Out into the cold. Let's go. Out into the snow.
I need that song.
You can have it.
Also, you have such a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
Okay, go on.
So then I started writing for kids, and I went to an event actually with my friend Liz from Divalicious Moms called Moms Shop Madison, or maybe it was called Moms on Madison at the time. And I met all of these other children's musicians, and then I started hearing Laurie Berkner and Noggin and all these, and I was like, wow, there's like a world for singer-songwriters that write for children. And it's a big world, and it's a really exciting world. And so I just completely shifted gears again.
Wow.
And then I started doing music for kids. I put out my first album. That was in 2007 or 8. And then I'm on album 11 now.
It's amazing. And when we met only a few months ago, you were in the middle of writing this album. I can't believe how quickly you released them. I mean, is it because by the time 11 rolls around, you're just really good at this?
Well, this one was actually faster than I normally do it. Usually it takes about 9 to 10 months, a year to create an album. But this one, I did it really, really fast. I had an incredible team, and there's only 8 songs. Like sometimes my albums have like 12 or 13 songs, and then it takes a little bit longer. Yeah. So it's it's thematic. It has a concept behind it, which I find it's easier to write when there's a concept, because
there's like almost a goal, right? There's a sort of anchoring force.
Yes, and the fact that I knew which books I was writing about, it's kind of like a homework assignment, and I'm really good under pressure when it comes to writing. You know, some people, they're on the subway and they're like, in the writing, they have a pad. Like, I am not like that. I need to carve out the time. I need to sit down. I have the thing that I want to do in my head, and then I sit down like a homework assignment and write it.
I love hearing that. Can you give us a little like clue into your process, actually?
The songwriting process?
Songwriting, yeah. How do you make time for yourself, especially as a mom, for your creativity? She's like, oh, we're talking about that?
It's hard. It's a struggle. Well, I'm also a single mom, so it's like even harder.
And if you want to open up about that, we're here for it. But
I'm an open book, literally.
Get it?
Thematic.
Get it?
Freedom. Yeah. No, so I think when it comes to songwriting, like I said, I need to carve out the time. And usually I work better when I'm not in my own space. So sometimes I'll rent a cabin, or I'll go down to my dad's place, or, I need solitude. I cannot have people around me, and I need space that's a little bit different. Sometimes I'm able to write in my apartment. And this one I did, actually. I wrote in my apartment. Wow. I did it during spring break. Joya, my daughter, was with her dad. And so I knew I had 7 days to write the album. So I wrote.
And there was a little bit of pressure there.
I did.
You do well
really,
under pressure.
Really good under pressure. If I have a good deadline, I will absolutely smash it. Wow. But if someone's like, you've got 5 months to write this song, I can't do it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I sat and I wrote all of the songs for FREADOM in a week.
Wow. See, it was notable how quickly you turned this around. Holy cow. Okay, back to your process. So how do you leave room for creativity being a single mom and a prolific one at that? Grammy winning.
I think
creative.
I don't know. I think that's my answer. I think that sometimes people think that I'm a little bit more organized than I am, but really I have a to-do list that has like 40 billion things on it right now, and everything is out of order. I have emails I have to return. Like, I'm just like everyone else when it comes to that. I'm a little bit behind, but I just have to do one thing at a time, and sometimes things get backburnered, and I hope that people forgive me. Please forgive me. What can you do?
Or don't forgive me.
I don't care.
It's like there's a big part of me that's like, please like me, please like me, please like me. And then there's like a smaller, unfortunately, but fiercer voice inside of me that's like, you know what, don't like me, it's fine. Yeah. It's okay. You're living on purpose.
I think that also has to do with getting older. I think when you hit 35, 40, something like that, you're just like, I don't give any more of those. Yeah. I don't know if we're allowed to curse on this podcast.
We are, but you're not gonna. That's not your, because that's not your brand.
It definitely is my brand.
Is it?
Not for children, obviously.
No, not for children.
But no.
Yeah, how do you manage that? Because you are an adult.
Yes.
You're speaking to adults when you're on Instagram, right? Like you're you. This is your life with your big red lips, and and you're like rock star. You do live a rock star sort of life, not like,
I haven't slept in a week or two, like, right. For real. I think that parents value when you're real. Like, I think they don't want, maybe some parents want that whole like shiny, happy image, but that's not who I am.
I mean,
They
you're
know
not.
that.
I don't think you're not squeaky clean.
Right. I think that I'm just a normal person that likes to go out, hang out with friends and do fun things. Like I love to go to Broadway shows and I love to, be out and about.
Yeah.
There was a singer once that was like, don't take any photos for your social media holding a drink. And I'm like, why? I'm a
Right.
human being. Like,
yeah, and it's legal.
Yes,
like
it is.
You're supposed to be having fun. That's like part
Yes.
of the human experience.
I wouldn't do that in front of a child, like
Right.
at a show, but there's a way that you can separate your true authentic self from your stage person. Everybody does that. So it's, it's fine.
Yeah, and actual children aren't the ones following you on your social media. It's like, and do you find like, well, the people buying the tickets are the parents.
Of course.
So you're really connecting to a lot of parents
Uh-huh.
in your work.
You have to connect to the parents. You also have to connect to the kids. Like your music needs to connect to both. Otherwise, it's going to be annoying for the parents to listen to.
I know. I really love playing your music at home
Thank
because
you.
I enjoy it and the kids enjoy it. And so it's like, oh, we're like bonding, and it's a nice feeling.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I work really hard to try to make things like a Pixar movie where there's like layers of the onion. There's the version that the kid hears, and then there's the version that the parent hears. And if it's not appealing to both, it's not going to work.
Wow. That's deep, dude.
Thanks, man.
How has being a mother influenced or changed the music itself?
Well, I think when I was writing children's music before I was a mom, I had this picture of what it would be like to be a mom.
Oh, what? You had like this idealistic
Well,
vision of motherhood?
I was a teacher. I've been teaching little kids since I was in my 20s. So I was just like, surely I know what it was like.
I haven't been teaching children since I was in my 20s. And I was like, I will know exactly how to do this best.
Yes.
Not good, not great, but the best.
You'll be the best mom.
That's exactly right. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had a couple of miscarriages before I had my daughter. And so it was a journey. So when I finally had her, it was like a really special thing. And I mean, I don't know how personal you want me to get on this thing, but
I'm here for it.
Like it hasn't been that perfect journey, like after that happened, then when she was 2, I was separated and was divorced. So like my journey isn't like the same. So I've been trying to navigate the juggle of being a mom, being a creative mom, doing all of the housework and all of the things. Like I don't have a babysitter. I don't have a nanny. Like I don't have any of those things.
I don't either.
Yeah. So, people always ask me like, how do you juggle? And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But my daughter, I think she has strong opinions. She's 8 now.
She's really sweet.
She is really sweet, and she's very precocious and sassy, and I love all of the things.
Oh my God, I wonder who her mom is.
Yes.
Precocious and sassy.
Yes.
What's that about?
I love it, and I want her to be that way because I feel like as a kid, I was very insecure and quiet.
Oh, I didn't see that coming.
I came out of my shell in college.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
In musical theater land.
In musical theater land, because I was with my people. I don't think I was ever with my people until I went to college. And then it changed. And
I relate, by the way.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that had it like the best years of their life was in high school. And then they go to college and it's like, wah, wah.
Yeah.
And I think it was the opposite for me and you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can relate to your story about fertility, like having a longer than is comfortable or ideal or wanted fertility journey.
Mm-hmm.
You were telling me a little bit about your birth, like between friends and then 2 years later getting a divorce and or separation. Like I'm sure those 2 years weren't sunshine and roses.
Oh no.
Yeah, right. So I think a lot of people can relate to that. I think
a lot of people have an idea of what they think motherhood is going to be, and then they are surprised that it is not sunshine and roses. It was a while. Like I had postpartum depression. It was a mess. It was a mess. It got better but it took a while. And then, going through the divorce and trial and all that stuff, it was just like, it was hard. But, I would leave the courtroom and then I would go to my producer's house and put stuff on tape for all the ladies.
Wow.
So it was like I made that album out of something really awful.
Oh, that female empowerment album.
Yeah. So it was like, it was an interesting time in my life, and it was definitely a stressful time in my life, but I put that into the art. And I think a lot of people do that. Sometimes the best songs come from breakups,
I mean, really, we talked about Taylor.
Oh, yeah. Taylor knows how to do it.
She knows how to do it. You know how to do it. Wow, that's amazing. Can we pivot to your activism around creating a Jewish Grammy category?
Sure. Yes. So I have been talking with some of my friends in the Jewish music world about the fact that there is no category right now. And so last year we put in a proposal, and it didn't meet the requirements, which is fine because we do have a little bit of work to do before we get there. But basically, there is a Christian category right now. It's the Christian contemporary and gospel music category. And
which is, by the way, I enjoy
it's
gospel
it's
music.
huge.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's
so
huge.
Good.
It's a big business. I mean, these people that are in this category, it's like they don't just have like one field with one category. It's like 6 or 7 different categories underneath it because that's how big this world is. So I realize, like, I'm not a crazy person. Like, I realize that Jewish music is much smaller because there's only 14 million of us in the world.
Yeah.
So can you imagine the people that are making Jewish music? Much, much, much smaller than the Christian world.
And the people who are consuming Jewish music,
correct,
also much smaller.
Right, because not every Jewish person is listening to Jewish liturgical music.
Right.
So anyway, the way that we define Jewish music is liturgical music, like something that's like Jewish. So it's not like a song that's sung in Hebrew that's about like falling in love.
Oh, okay. And what about
example.
like your Chillin' song that's on this?
Chillin' time would be, yeah.
Guys, I was like, I was telling Marty, our producer, like, how can we start and end this with her, like, with this album that I love? And I'm just like, I want the audience to hear it. Like, my favorite song is Chillin', as we all know. That's a little niche. Is it a little niche or
it is the nichest niche of the niches. Do you remember when I went into the WhatsApp in our group and I was like, how do you say cholent? Like, I didn't know how to do it. I think people were like, cholent. Like, I wasn't sure because I had never grew up eating it.
Oh, I wasn't in that conversation for whatever reason, because I would have totally told you.
I was like,
Chillin'.
Send me voice memos of how to say it.
You say it beautifully. Chillin'. It's beautiful, and it's a beautiful. I guess it's based on a book, as we now know.
Yes.
It's a great song. Anyway, so that would not be considered for the Jewish Grammy because it's not liturgical?
It would probably still go into the children's music.
Oh, great.
For that song. I mean,
it's a great song, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, check it out on FREADOM. But I think it's really like people that are putting prayers to music. It's klezmer. Because it would be anything that's diasporatic. So diaspora music. It would be Ladino music.
Diaspora, should we define
Unpack
that?
it.
Yeah, so diaspora is like, if a group of people originate from Israel, or a group of people originate from Africa and they disperse around the world, anywhere that they live outside of those originating places would be considered the diaspora.
Right. Like their identity is still with where they came from, and their music is still where they came from. It's just they have been spread out. So, yeah, so that's what I mean. And I got together with my friend Mikey Pauker, and he and I created this proposal with another friend of mine, Kathy Fink. And then we got like, oh my gosh, dozens of Jewish artists to join in. And then we had a petition going on MoveOn.org. And there was like, I don't know, a couple thousand people that signed it. And then, since it didn't pass, which is fine because I understand why it didn't, we need more Jewish musicians to become Recording Academy members and put their music on the ballot. Because in order for our proposal to go through, there needs to be like 100 albums that were put on the ballot. I'm not just saying like albums that were created. They need to be on the ballot. You do not need to be a Recording Academy member to put your album on the ballot. But the more members in the Jewish music world that are Recording Academy members, the ecosystem of the Recording Academy will have more members to vote in that category. So it really is both things. It's, yes, we need more Jewish music and musicians to put their stuff on the ballot, and we need more members so that they can vote. Otherwise, like, I don't think people in the jazz world are going to come to the Jewish music category and vote in that category. You can't vote for everything. You get 3.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I'm working on this, by the way. I'm working to become a member, and I'm, I think the people listening who listen to the podcast often know that I sing klezmer and Yiddish music, but like you said, just because I sing it on stage doesn't mean I record it. And by the way, the reason why I didn't record it is because there was a part of me that didn't think it was sort of quote unquote worth it. And
I think a lot of people think, like, what's the point of putting it out if, it's not going to be this big commercial success?
Because it's expensive also.
It is very expensive.
I mean, the fact that you did this so quickly and so beautifully is a testament to your work ethic, your collaborators.
Yes. I owe a lot
and
to
your
my
supporters, because it's expensive and it's time consuming, etc. But you made it worth it for me. And I really, really, really appreciate that, because this music is important.
Thanks.
Why do you think it's important for there to be a Jewish music category?
I just think it's worthy music. It's beautiful music. Like, my connection to Judaism, I think everybody is Jewish in different ways. And my connection to Judaism is cultural and through my ancestors and wanting to connect with the people of the past, but also through the music. And so I've always been like a huge fan of Jewish music, because that's how I started playing guitar as a song leader, So, and I play in temples, I play Friday night services, and I do Tot Shabbats for a little kid, So I'm in that world. I don't spend all of my time in that world. Yeah. But maybe, a good 20-30% in that world. Yeah. And so that's important to me, and a lot of my friends are in that world. And it's a worthy category. But so we did have this incredible Zoom with the president of the Recording Academy, Harvey Mason Jr.
You guys, I was there, and it was so cool.
Amazing. Like, and the whole DEI group, and Ruby Marchand. There was like incredible. It was, everybody stepped up. Like, all the big Recording Academy people came, and the Jewish community came out, and we created this Zoom in this space, which was part of the Biden initiative, actually, against anti-Semitism. That's kind of how it all came together. And then
they were so respectful, I have to tell you.
It was amazing.
I was blown away by the reflections every now and then, where they would say, like, I'm understanding that this and this is what you're telling me about the Jewish experience through music. I'm understanding this and this, and I'm writing this down. And God, I felt so seen and heard. And that didn't mean necessarily like, cool, let's open up a Grammy category now because they have integrity. Right. But wow, that was cool.
And also, I think the common tropes are that the Jewish people run the entertainment industry and run the music industry. And there was a time where there were a lot of Jewish people running the show, because that was really the only work that they could get, that in the garment industry. So like, when people say there's so many Jews in entertainment, like, yeah, they started it, and it's like a very different world right now. And it's great that it's a different world, because everybody needs to feel seen and everybody needs to feel heard. Yeah. But if there's no Jewish category, like, we'll talk about busting up a trope, like, we don't have one. Yeah. But also, I've been on a bunch of Zooms since then, and had a bunch of meetings with the DEI group from the Recording Academy, and for the first time ever, they have committed to celebrating National Jewish Heritage Month in May of this coming year, which is like a really big deal, because I think other corporations and industries that haven't yet acknowledged it, the fact that they will, is going to be like, we support you. And they do that for so many other groups, and not us though. And so this year they will, and I think it's going to be a major step, and I think other groups will probably see that and corporations, and will start stepping up. And I've been working with the Weizmann Museum in Philadelphia, and they're lovely. They're the ones that are like doing all the background work for National Jewish Heritage Month.
Wow.
And so they're working directly with the Recording Academy now and like getting stuff done. Yeah.
Huge thank you. Like,
It's not
you.
me.
You did that. Oh, come on.
I mean, it's like a lot of people, you know, it's
and
like,
you're
it's a
like
group.
the first one. You're spearheading this thing. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
It's just one of the things I'm doing to try to activate, you know, like
Tell me, yeah.
Well, because I'm very passionate about books. I'm very passionate about Jewish heritage and culture. I'm not religious though. So it's like, for me, people are like, why are you even bothering? What does it matter? But I explained why I feel connected, and everybody's connection is different.
I'm not observant. I was raised modern Orthodox and I religious. But as we're sort of exploring, is like, Judaism is an ethnicity.
Yeah.
It's a culture in and of itself. It's a history. It's a connection to the land and the world itself. I actually just posted on my Instagram about how I haven't fasted for Yom Kippur in a long time, and it's not of interest to me.
No.
Because of my own programming around food and my own relationship to Judaism. And I think it's actually very powerful that you remind the Academy and anyone else that, like, religion is one component of the Jewish experience.
Right.
Music is a huge part of the
Huge
Jewish
part
experience.
of it. It's
Yeah.
true. It's true. And the food is a really big part
Yeah,
of it.
also. Yeah.
Like cholent.
Yeah.
Although, which I've never had.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for an invitation
really?
for somebody. I need to like
Oh, I
have
gotta-
someone cook me some cholent.
I'll get on that. I'm not going to be the cooking person. Maybe my mom. She's great at it.
Oh, can we hang out with your mom?
Yeah, she's great. She's great. So, but the activation piece, I think, is really important. We started off by saying, who are you today? And are you an activist? And you were wholehearted. And I'm realizing, you know, you're an activist on a lot of different levels.
Well, I feel a lot of passion for a lot of different things, and I am definitely progressive. And so I think a lot of my progressive values and my progressive Jewish values and the things that I feel being like a Jewish person, it all comes out. Like, you know, for example, I care a lot about the planet. My
Yes.
brother is an environmentalist and a land he runs a land conservancy in Vermont. So like, that's important to me, and obviously it's important to our children. And I'm also like a staunch feminist, and I wasn't always that way. It took a while to get there because I was raised not like, I don't think I was raised a feminist. Like maybe my parents would disagree, but I really feel in my heart, like when you go to a school and they teach you sentence structure and everything is he, him as the default, you know, you believe that that's what it's supposed to do. When all of the moms are staying home and the dads are working, like that's how you grow up. You see that. Like I can't say that's everybody's experience, but it was surely mine. So
Yes.
you know, it was a different world, and it took me a couple of decades to catch up as far as like what being a feminist is about. And that's part of the reason why I put that album out. I was feeling it.
Oh,
you
wow.
know?
I know. And now we're feeling it.
Oh,
now we
yeah.
all get to feel it in our living rooms. We all get to enjoy it. I'm really grateful for the music you put out into the world and the performances you like share with us. I'm really truly grateful for your activism and your friendship.
Thank you. You
and
too.
the way you mom. I followed some of your stories with Joya going to the Taylor Swift concert, and it was so cool and so fun and so joyous.
The best.
Yeah,
That show was amazing.
I mean,
But she loves live music. She's a little musician, and
really, and she's been featured on some of your
yeah,
songs, right?
She was on All the Ladies. She sang the RBG song. She would sing the song Anything on that album as well.
So
And
does that mean that she won a Grammy too, or what?
she was a featured performer on a Grammy winning album.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
At like 8 years old. Like,
She was like 5 at the time.
good on her.
Yeah, she's not
doing
messing
great.
around.
Yeah.
And then we did a song called Fauci Ouchie, all about getting your vaccination,
Mhm.
which not everybody liked, but we thought it was important to protect our friends and family in our community. So
Yes.
that was, another, it shouldn't be political, but, everything is these days. So activism.
Yeah.
Did get
You're
a couple
brave.
of death threats from that.
Oh.
I'm not kidding.
Joanie, you're so brave.
It's just another day as life as a songwriter. But yeah, so she loves to sing with Mama.
That's
And
so
we love
cool.
to see Broadway shows and do all the things.
It's so cool. So where do we follow you to learn more about where we can see you live, where we can buy your music, where we can support you? Maybe we'll just tune into some of your, your momming adventures.
Yeah. So I'm most active on Instagram at Joanie Leeds. I dabble in TikTok, but I'm not really there. But that's at Joanie Leeds Music. Facebook, Joanie Leeds Music. And my website is probably the best place to find out where I'm performing. So that's joanieleeds.com. And yeah, I have a pretty healthy performance schedule. So anybody that's looking to see me play out and about, it's coming back. For a while it was not great during COVID times, but
Yeah.
it's coming back, and I'm really excited to be back on the road.
I think people are really hungry for live performance.
Especially parents, because they were the last ones to get their kids vaccinated, and we were all just so scared. At least in New York, it was like that.
Yeah.
And now that everybody's kind of ripped the Band-Aid off, they're out doing stuff. It's time
Rip
to
the
see
Band-Aid.
live music.
Wait, I really like that you said rip the Band-Aid off.
Very
That's
funny.
hilarious. I really like that. Thank you so much for joining us at Mom Curious. I'm Daniela Rabbani. You can find me at Daniela Rabbani on Instagram, where we have more in-depth conversations. The DMs are always open, and I love hearing from you. I loved having you here, Joanie. I've been looking forward to this for months.
Me too.
We love you. We thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you, as always, for listening to the Mom Curious podcast. My name is Daniela Rabbani. I am your host, and I would love to continue this conversation at Daniela Rabbani on Instagram. And if you'd be so kind to rate and review, share this podcast, I would be just really grateful. Catch you next time, every Tuesday on the Mom Curious podcast. Produced by Hoff Studios. You can find them at Hoff Studios on Instagram as well. All right, have a great day.